Hey, it's Melissa with Vintage Garage Chicago, and I am in the van with Jim, and we're going to talk about comic books because people don't know, I'm sure you don't know, that our business was built on comics. Um, Jim has been a lifelong comic book collector, so tell me, how old were you when you got your first comic book?
I was 6.
And did you buy it with your own money?
Yeah.
And where did you get it?
From Oscar's, the corner of Dickerson and Canfield on the east side of Detroit.
Did you walk there from home?
It was on the way home from school. It was on the route.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a quarter.
So what book was it?
Amazing Spider-Man number 20. First appearance of the Scorpion. But I had...
Is this...
Yeah, that's it. That is the
right there, John?
that I've bought and sold my collections, but that's the one that I've always hung on to.
It's got your, like, you can see the edge of it where you've
I
read it so much.
I wore that to death.
Okay, so tell me.
That's how I learned how to read reading comics.
Tell me, why did you pick this book? Like, what was it about this particular one?
Well, actually, it wasn't so much this one. It was comics were always in my house. I have an older brother who collected comics, and I remember seeing in one of his comics there's always a splash page of what else you could be buying that month instead of this comic. What else is available? And I saw the Green Goblin, Amazing Spider-Man number 17, and when I saw the Goblin, I said, "Oh!" Plus, the Spider-Man looked cool. He had webs coming out of his hands. But when I saw the Goblin, I knew I wanted to get a Spider-Man comic. So it wasn't until 3 months after whatever issue that was that I had a quarter in my pocket. Mm-hmm. I was at Oscar's, and all the older kids hadn't already picked them off the spinner.
So it was a Goblin.
Well, that was the impetus to buying Spider-Man.
Oh, gotcha. So it wasn't about Spider-Man, it was about the Goblin.
Initially, no, but I mean, it was a combination.
Yeah.
And, like I said, one of the first books learning to read.
So how in the world did you keep it all this time? And, like, tell someone who would have no idea. I mean, this is a comic book that is not worth anything because, well, it's worth something.
No, actually, it's just in poor condition.
Yeah.
But I was 6 years old. Nobody was putting them in Mylar when I was 6 years old.
How did you keep it this far?
Well, I just put it in a dresser drawer.
Oh.
It was in a stack. But, kids would come over. I let them read them.
Yeah.
They weren't the collectible. Well, actually, they were. That's how I started buying and selling things.
Okay, let's go back to where you were 6.
Yeah.
All right, so you read this, and it was a good story.
Yeah.
What else did you like about it? Was it like, did it make you look forward to the next one?
Spider-Man wasn't a millionaire like Bruce Wayne or somebody, who had a great personal life as well. He was a teenage kid living with his aunt, working a part-time job to help out at home.
Was his boss at the paper a jerk too?
J. Jonah Jameson, of course.
He was
legendary.
Oh. See, I've never read him. I'm just basing this only on my movie experience.
Well, sure.
So he was still a jerk.
No,
who was the worst Spider-Man, or who was the meanest Spider-Man character, like villain?
Well, Goblin.
Really?
Oh, sure.
Out of all of them?
Yep. He's like Batman's Joker.
Really? Oh, okay. I didn't know. So what book is this? Number
20.
Number 20. Did you ever get any earlier books?
Sure. Well, among my neighborhood collecting community, there was talk about a store that had back issues of comics.
Mm.
And I found out that it was Abelman's in Hamtramck. And it was a couple years after my first one. I was probably 8 years old. For my birthday, I said, when asked what I wanted for my birthday, I said, I want to go to Abelman's and get some old Spider-Mans.
Cool. So how many did you get?
Well,
don't tell me which ones. Just tell me how many.
I probably got like 15 issues.
Wow. All back issues?
Yeah.
Back from number 20?
Well,
Wow.
by the time my eighth birthday, 2 years later, Spider-Man was in the 30s, but I was only getting him sporadically because the older kids would be beating me to the punch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I had bought issues like 6 through 30, odd issues.
All right. Well, let's come back and talk about what came after this book. Which ones came after, like when you went to Abelman's? After you went to, let's see, you had this. Let's talk about the books that you got at Abelman's.
Well,
Hold on.